Yeah, I couldn't. Wow, that was a very short
That was short.
round of applause. That's
Do
very
it
funny.
again.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so
Yay.
glad that you are here today.
Woohoo. Yeah, definitely welcome.
Yes.
And if you have ever heard the term or the phrase, we've always done it this way
Mm,
in your company or in the work that you've done, you're in the right place.
yes.
Just saying you're in the right place.
Yes, indeed.
Today, we are going to talk about why good teams get stuck and how to get moving again.
Hmm.
Really, we use a phrase, a particular kind of label, if you will, for this kind of behavior.
Yes, it's called rigid robots.
Yes.
And that's really what these learning labs are all about. We're going to pick one of these company killers, these things that have human behavior behind them that stop you in your tracks from getting good work done, from relating to your people, to relating to customers or your team, and getting things off your plate so that you can do good work. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, and one of the things we want to really stress in our conversation today is this is not about bad people or someone being kind of an a-hole. It's really more about what happens to us when we're put in situations where there's pressure
Mhm.
and we're having a difficult time staying in curiosity and staying in exploration and moving more to a place of protection.
And let's be honest, in today's world, it's all about pressure. We're asked to be done, to get more done with less. We're asked to take on new projects, new technologies, at the drop of a hat to try to get things done. And our brain and our human behavior is constantly fighting that. That's what we do at Experience. Yes, we work with teams and leaders to focus on these human behaviors so that they can build their business relationship intelligence.
Oh, and hey, if you don't know who we are, I'm Gail Montgomery,
I'm Bruce
and we
Montgomery.
are the co-founders of Experience. Yes.
Yes.
And like Bruce said, we are really passionate about helping people increase their business relationship intelligence. And so we have analyzed over several years behaviors of teams and what gets in the way of really good performance. And the first that we're going to cover for several months, we're going to have these learning labs, is this rigid robot behavior, this idea of how familiarity is more comfortable than something new. And the ability to flex kind of goes away.
That's right. We're talking about having a business relationship yoga master.
Yeah.
We want them to be flexible so they can move through new things quickly. And so let's make this a little more interactive. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start a poll, and we're going to ask you some specific questions to that poll, and then you'll put it in the chat as your answer, and the poll will magically calculate.
Now, what we want you to think about before we go into this poll is this idea of when someone brings up a new idea or has this kind of innovative thought in your business, which one of these particular responses are you most likely to see? And we'll go through all three, and then we want you to drop in the chat.
We'll bring up the poll and you'll drop in
the number 1, 2, or 3.
That's right. So the first one is we've always done it this way. That's what Gail was just mentioning.
That's number
one. Number 2 is we already tried that. Love that. And the third is we don't have time for that. So I'll start the poll again. It's 1, 2, or 3. Just drop it into the chat and we will find out exactly what your answers are.
What about you? In your last role, what was the one that you felt like?
It always seems to come down for me, compressed in time. We don't have time for that. We can't do that. We don't have the time. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes we are over prioritized. And sometimes we are saying that just as a defense mechanism because we're just trying to keep too many balls in the air.
Yeah.
The question is, which one should take priority?
All right, so we'll stop the poll and take a peek. And we have a very small audience right now who has chosen we've always done it this way, which is not surprising because that is a very common rigid robot behavior.
Yes.
So let's pop out for a minute. What we want to share with you is one of the things that we're really passionate about at Experience Yes is the neuroscience behind the behavior of people. And so we I guess we do ourselves a disservice if we don't talk about what's going on in our brains that might be behind some of the behaviors that we see. So we want to talk about the brain and kind of give you a sense of where some of these pushback behaviors come from.
Yeah, and this is the part where I get to nerd out a little bit because I'm a nerd and love the brain. So when we talk about things or comments like we've always done it this way, or we already tried that, it really comes down to this feeling of uncertainty, and the feeling of uncertainty directly relates to the amygdala. This is, you may have heard the term before, the amygdala hijack, which is the fight, flight, or freeze part of the brain, where basically you're presented with something new and your brain goes, whoa, that is risky. I don't want to do that.
No way.
And says things like no, says things like I can't survive that. It's very funny. If you look at how the brain interprets the difference, I'm just going to turn this off. Interprets the difference between something that's risky and something that might be more risky.
Yeah.
They're both interpreted kind of the same, right? So it can't regulate the sense of risk. And so it's like, hey, if we do this new technology, I am going to not be able to learn it well. I'm going to lose my job, and then I'm going to die.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
That is like the straight line to death.
It's straight line to death.
So
right?
what you're telling me is, and I love this idea that if I was to go out to a new restaurant with you and I'm going to eat something that I've never had before, or I might be scared of, right? Like I'm going to have, liver or whatever, that I view that risk of eating liver the same as if I have to learn a new technology or if I have to be on TV showing my new dance
Yes,
moves.
that's right. Yeah. Or specifically about food. If it's puffer fish, that is really risky.
Yeah.
So don't eat puffer fish.
Well,
unless you go to a very specially trained sushi
It has to be a
chef.
Japanese chef that does that
that's
or
right.
something.
Yeah, no, they've got to be specially trained.
I think that's something to really consider, is this idea that the brain doesn't know the difference between this little bit of risk and this ginormous part of risk.
Right. And so that means that all risks, if you look at it like that, are huge.
Right.
Any risk is huge, and the brain is going to fight that each step of the way.
So what happens after that uncertainty kind of kicks in?
The brain then seeks to be safe.
Right.
It says things like, nope, we've done that before. I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
Or nope, we've tried it. Nope, I don't have time for that. It says all of those things that we're used to hearing that are painful to hear when it's fighting back.
Yeah. And, Bruce is such a geek and a nerd about all of this kind of this research, this neuroscience that's out there. It's important to note that really what the brain is trying to say is, let's just do it the way we know it works rather than try something new.
Yeah,
right?
It defaults to the familiar. That's exactly right, Gail. It likes it. Look, the brain is lazy. It wants things exactly the same every single day because then it doesn't have to consume as much calories.
No.
It can sit there and be safe and comfortable and in like a soft pillow when it's like a damp rain outside and it's reading a book under a cover, which just sounds wonderful right now.
Let's pop out and talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
So I want to drive it home because Bruce has made me pretty passionate about the brain. And I want you to think about it like this. For kind of from an evolutionary standpoint, for centuries, hundreds of thousands of years, as humans, we've been in a mode of protection, safety, being in a community, making sure things are familiar. All of that, even though it happened hundreds of thousands of years ago, is still how our brain operates. That has not changed. And so when someone in your meeting says, we've always done it this way, it's because they are in a position of, holy crap, this is dangerous and I need to protect myself. They go into that mode of like, how in the world am I going to survive? Right. And look, this is going to help you when you're in a meeting and someone says this idiotic thing like, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to do that. Please repeat this back to yourself. They are not being an a-hole. They are simply defaulting to that prehistoric brain that is telling them to stay safe.
Yep.
That is the really big part.
Yeah, it all comes down to human behavior. And let's be honest, there are some people who are wired a little more hard to say those things like, no, we've already tried that, or no, we've done that.
Yeah.
I spent years in the IT space, and I will tell you honestly, the IT engineers seem to want to default to that quickly.
Oh,
right.
Oh my gosh, they do. And in fact, I have a story. I think Iskra is on. Iskra, you may have heard the story, because when I was working at a SaaS company, I had a woman. I was part of the implementation team, and we were implementing a new technology that was a human resource technology. And this woman that I met, who was the director of payroll, had a 23-page notebook with workarounds and chicken scratch of how she was going to get her job done. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
I've told you this story before. And it was unbelievable to me. Now, this woman, that notebook was everything. She could not be flexible and realize that she was going to need to learn this new technology and it was going to make her life easier. She was completely inflexible to moving away from this absolutely, in her mind, beautiful solution that she had next to her. And I think that's crazy. So if anyone that is currently listening has a phrase that they have heard in the past, or even at the company that they're at right now, that maybe is similar to some of the phrases that we've said, we don't have time for that, we've tried that before, that's not going to work. What's another one? We've always done it that way. Drop your phrase into the chat, because we would love to see that as we kind of move forward. Just
going to bring up Iskra's. I concur. Yes, Iskra. Thank you for yes.
Or this won't work. Yeah, she said for when she did the poll, for sure.
Yeah.
So listen, we have kind of a methodology for approaching this kind of behavior.
Yeah, and it's important to know about this behavior. You should reflect on this, that maybe people around the table, or on a Zoom, people you're engaging with are having this response. You also have to be frank with yourself and realize that you might be doing this too.
Okay.
So it's
full disclosure. I've
it's
done it.
It's one of those things
done it.
that you should use this framework, so that if it's on you, are you doing this versus are other people doing this?
Oh, I like that Stan says not everyone agrees with that. Is that what it says?
Yeah, not everyone agrees.
Not everyone agrees with this. Yeah.
Thank you, Stan.
That's a good one.
My
Stan.
fellow from Gallup, New Mexico.
Yes.
Go Fighting Bengals.
Yeah,
that is,
anyone who's in technology probably hears this more than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I know many people on this call are actually from a SaaS company, and so they're going to hear that kind of over and over again, because technology brings out the very scared brain in all of us.
Yes.
So that's the truth.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny about that statement, not everybody agrees with this, is that means that they don't agree with it, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really what they're saying.
Yeah. Oh, they're pulling in everyone else to support the way they feel.
People are saying, you're like,
you mean people are you?
Are you?
Okay.
Yeah. So
let's share with you kind of this methodology that can be very helpful for both yourself and thinking about it from the perspective of those crazy people around the table or in that project with you.
It is catch it, check it,
and
choose it. Right.
So
catch it, check it, choose it.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. So catch it, right? Whenever someone says some crazy phrase, we want you to think about catching that phrase, not immediately responding to it. Ooh, good one, Megan. Not a priority right now. I like that. That's not going to work. And we've tried that.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
I'm telling you, what's crazy about this is we often hear the phrase. We don't take a moment to really hear what was said. We just hear the no or the pushback, and we don't recognize that, what the full weight of it is, if you will. So you have to catch the phrase to begin with.
It's also important to know that in the catching part, I'll give a quick example. Again, I mentioned that I've worked in IT shops before. I had a team that I ran that their first response, every single time the marketing team came over and asked for something, their first response was, nope, can't do that. And usually they would put it to my fellow IT people might appreciate this has to do with IT security. We can't do that.
Yes,
they would
that would be their reason.
That's right. They would blame it on
their excuse. IT security.
I ran IT security. And that's not true.
Okay.
And what they didn't realize is in the relationship with marketing heard an immediate no.
Andrew, this is for you.
Yes, and got mad.
Yeah.
They got angry, and then they would come to me like, "Hey, we think this can happen." And in the background, those guys would go off and 3 hours later they would come back with a solution.
Yeah. You know what? We actually can do this.
Yeah, not realizing that they destroyed the relationship,
The trust.
in the process, because they came out, they didn't catch it, right? They didn't catch it and stop themselves.
One of my favorite questions to kind of pose back to someone who's saying things like, by the way, LinkedIn user, such a formal name. It says, we don't need this right now.
We don't
right?
need this right now.
You see, like, tell me more about why you feel we don't need this. And then another idea is this concept of what would need to be true for this to be possible.
Yes.
Or what would need to happen for this to be possible. Because remember, your brain moves immediately into protection and away from exploring and staying curious and open. That is how they're trained. It is trying to protect you from the saber-toothed tiger that is across from you in the meeting. I know that sounds crazy. It's really the thing.
So that's good. So you've moved kind of into the check it part, right? So you catch it, you see it, you witness it, you say it yourself, and then you check it. If you're good
at checking it,
you will head it off at the pass before it even happens.
Right.
For example, if somebody, before somebody says, we don't have the time for that, you might say something like, I understand that time is really pressed right now. I have some ideas, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That way you move ahead. You acknowledge that that's a threat for them.
100%.
And then you're already working toward a solution on the other end.
Well, you're kind of getting into some of the advanced skills that might be here, which is know your audience, right? If you're walking into a meeting and you know you're going to have that director of payroll with her 23-page workaround booklet, how are you going to open that conversation with her? What are you going to say? How are you going to make that happen? And so checking it it's also this idea of, is this about logic or is this about fear? Is this about, experience, or is this about risk and safety? As soon as you realize, oh, you know what, I think the brain is taken over here, then you can move forward with choosing the way that you're going to respond to that.
That's right. And you may not be surprised by this. Checking it and then choosing it, those things take practice.
100%.
You got to have a framework before you can then start practicing these skills.
Yeah. And I think it's not about pushing back on anyone. It's really about, again, staying open, blue sky thinking.
Yeah. One thing I want to comment about that second piece, which, catch it, check it. In the check it part, it really is what's true in this moment and what's not true.
Right.
Right. So it's asking for this concept of, am I telling a story to myself? If it's me that's not responding,
we don't have time for this.
Like, is that true? And if I needed it to be true, what needs to happen in order for that to change?
Right.
Same as your team. Is what they're saying, do they really not have time? Is that true? Or is that just a gut response to anything that's thrown at them?
Oh, that's a great way to think about that. I love that. So we'll give you kind of an example, right? Again, so what was said, catch it, check it with, take a pause. Is this logic or fear or safety? And then again, choose it, ask make your response relevant to kind of what you discover after you've thought about that, even if it's you. So let's give you an example of how we might respond to something like this. We've always done it this way. And actually, since it's a learning lab, those of you that are on right now, I'd love to see you drop in the chat. What would be your response, knowing right now that you could engage in the 3-part kind of catch it, check it, choose it? How might you respond to either yourself thinking this or someone else saying this in a meeting? Just go ahead and drop that in the chat. I'm just curious about that.
That's great.
We'll give you just a second to do that because I know you want to.
That's right. They're writing paragraphs right now.
It will come. It's kind of delayed, I think.
Right. That's right.
So we'll show you our response to this. And if some of you have the same one, that'd be amazing.
So we've always done it this way. Okay, what's different now? Is there anything worth adjusting? Right. So we've always done it this way. Yeah, I might even ask things like, does anybody know why we chose to do it this way? What's the history of the process that we used to do or are doing now?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's pure curiosity.
Mhm.
That's not pushing against someone's opinion or thoughts about something. That's honestly saying like, let's keep the conversation going.
Mhm.
Change is not always bad.
Thank you,
Good, Stan. I
Stan.
love
Thank
that.
you.
And I think you're 100% right. And Stan, next month when we do our second learning lab and we talk about change crushers, why is change always bringing friction on? We're going to talk even more about how we associate change with bad and why,
Mhm.
because it's true. It's one of those things. Again, hint
Yeah.
has to do with our
I love
brain.
how the other qualifier is in that is it's not always bad,
Yeah,
which means sometimes it's
sometimes
totally bad.
it's horrible.
Like it's really bad.
Can we just say that out loud? Let's just talk about that. Let's talk
That's
about
true.
that. Okay, so here's where we want to go now. We want to talk a little bit about, let's pop out.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was going to pop out for just a
Okay.
second.
You want me to pop out?
Yeah.
I'll pop out.
So here's what I think is really interesting. So Bruce and I have been working in this business for coming up on 13 years. And what we have discovered is that a lot of our clients will say, what is the cost? What is this costing me? How does this really apply to revenue and bottom line?
You mean the impact of people saying this,
Yeah,
right?
well, and you and I, we've always been focused on improving soft skills, right? Like, which, by the way, Christina, thank you for your comment. What is the cost of not exploring, if anything may need to be evolved?
Nolana, I like that. Has
I
that
love
always
that.
worked the way you hoped it would?
Ooh, that is a good one. Let's see. I understand, and that's not a bad thing. Could you tell me how your day-to-day flows with the current process? Are there pain points? Yes.
Spoken.
Like a true consultant.
LinkedIn user, you are a true consultant.
Yes.
Love it.
The next
Love
time
it.
you put your name in, I would say true consultant if I were you. So what I think is, I understand this is the established way we operate. But, Andrew, say, and there may be value in exploring X, since we know we have Y pains, we may be able to resolve.
I've got Y pain right now.
Y pains. I'm going to take a moment and just say that should be an ad for like plaque psoriasis.
Yeah, yes, I've got Y pain.
Okay. So anyway, where I was going with this is people are constantly saying, just what is the cost? What does it matter? Why do I have to worry about language like this?
Yes.
And so the two of us went and did a bunch of research to kind of find out, what does not being flexible cost an organization? And it doesn't show up in your P&L, right? It doesn't show up in your budget. What it shows up in is these three areas. And hold on one second, Iskra. Yes, and we can do it even better. Love it.
Yes, totally fair. Thank you for saying yes, and Iskra. We appreciate that.
I like Megan, you did a nice acknowledgement there. Totally fair. Could you share what's working and what's not working? I love that.
Yep.
So let's share with you kind of three very tactile and real ways that this is killing revenue, being inflexible. The first is thinking about it from a meetings perspective. If you have 8 people in a 30-minute meeting and they spend those 30 minutes rehashing a decision, talking about how we can't do it, or we've done it before, we've tried it that way, we don't have time, blah, 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 blah. That's 4 hours that you've lost. And if you think about 4 hours, and I'm talking minimum at about $50 an hour, that's what?
$300.
$30,000 over the course of a year. And that's just one meeting.
Yeah.
So if you think about that, is a huge figure to be costing an organization. I would want to be avoiding those kinds of meetings if I could.
People who are inflexible,
yeah,
right? This rigid robot behavior are inefficient, especially when it comes to new things. So they're wasting money because they don't want to get on board with the decision. They don't want to get on board with the technology, etc.
Yeah.
The next is delayed revenue, right? So when you've got new products, when you've got new processes, when you have new things, you want to release them to your team, to the market, to your customers as soon as possible. The faster you get it out there, the more you're going to get revenue in faster.
That's right.
So it's just simple economics that by slowing that down, you're delaying getting that in the door.
Absolutely. And then finally, as people such as, a few of you on this call and many of us have experienced, when we're asking questions in meetings, like what would need to be true for this to happen, or what happened in the past that this was a bad solution for. Then people, and they get this response of, well, we've always done it this way, or we can't do it, or there's not enough time. people like me and others, we stop talking. We stop asking questions. We throw curiosity out the window. And then we get disengaged, and disengagement creates bad cultural experience where we're eventually looking for another job and we're leaving. And attrition is a real thing when it comes to people not being engaged in their innovative ideas. And that attrition, I mean, just thinking 150,000 on an average from like one kind of middle manager and up, I mean, that is a lot of money. So I think it's important for us to think about the costs, because it's really easy to say, oh, this is just language.
Yeah. Oh, well, we don't have to worry. That's just the way accounting is. That's just the way
we just have
they
to
behave.
Accept it, right? Yeah. Tech people are always going to push back. Engineers, they're always going to push back because they actually know if it's possible.
And they tend to be in an area of less flexibility.
Yes, they
do. So it's important to keep that open.
They do. Awesome. So what we're going to do now is we're going to invite anyone to ask questions in the chat if you would like. We've got a few minutes left, and then we're going to wrap things up right after that. So we'll give you just a couple of moments to drop some questions in. So a few things that I think we should just drive home kind of as we're wrapping things up. So if you have a challenge that you're currently experiencing, a challenging personality, or you yourself find you're challenged with a particular kind of flexibility, just drop it in and we'll address it, and we'll see if we can't help you move through that.
Yeah.
Things to keep in mind. Number one, this is absolutely a product of your brain. Yes. Inflexibility is a response to your brain wanting to keep you safe, wanting to prevent you being in a risky position. And as soon as you start to have an awareness that when people respond to you this way, when someone says, no, can't be done, or we don't have time, whatever, and you realize, there's some fear there, there's some protection going on with their brain, that absolutely changes the way that you can engage with them.
At least we hope it does. At least we hope it does.
Should.
That's right.
That's one thing we definitely want you to leave here with, is this idea of, look, it's not people being jerky. Yes, there's jerks out there. The majority of times, it's just people trying to protect themselves.
And your secret is to catch it. Did I say it right?
You did. Check it.
Check it. There it is. Choose it. Catch it, check it, choose it.
Yeah. And that's another thing. So just take a pause. I love some of the things that you all dropped in the chat, which were these ideas about how to continue to keep them talking. If you don't have anything that you can add other than to say, tell me more about why we've always done it that way. Tell me more about why you feel we don't have time for this.
Don't settle into yes or no answers, right? Don't settle. Can we do this? Yes or no?
Open-ended.
Keep it open-ended.
Open-ended is always the best. So I don't see any questions in our chat area, so we are going to wrap up with you today. So if you are curious about whether or not rigid robots are showing up on your team, here's a QR code.
Yes, there's a QR code. It will. It's a very quick 5-minute survey. It covers off a bunch of other company killers, which includes change crushers and rigid robots. Those are, you'll then get a number of different things. You'll get a prompt that shows you some ways that you can solve your biggest challenges, as well as a PDF that comes to you in an email, all for free. So
our next learning lab is April 15th, tax day. So something fun to do on tax day at 10 a.m. We're going to be talking about change crushers.
That's right.
And why change brings friction. And it's all going to be neuroscience focused as well. Megan wrote, some fear people may have is change equals money. How do we approach those that are afraid of this?
I'm curious whether that means, are they afraid that they're going to have to spend more money, or that they're going to lose money? So I would kind of frame it with that. If they're afraid that they're going to lose money, the best way that you can do it is frame the change in the benefits of what they're going to gain.
Right. And if you have the time to also frame it in, what is the cost if you don't do something versus the cost if you do something? Sometimes that can be very, very helpful. We're going to stay on for a few
Yes.
extra minutes too, if anyone would like to stay on.
Megan, if you want to clarify more in chat, we're happy to give more of an answer.
Yeah, we can stay on for a
For the
couple
rest
more
of you,
minutes.
thank you for joining.
Yes, thanks for
Tell
being
your
here.
friends, tell your family. If you didn't like this, tell your enemies. However you want to do it, let's make these huge. So we appreciate you being here.
Yes.
All right, so Megan.
Let's bring Jude back up.
Yes, okay.
And I did not introduce
Oh,
you, Jude, our chief of staff.
Yes. Hello, hello.
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 Nice to see you, Jude. Thank you.
So is anyone still on? I don't even know if I can't really see.
No, we can't really tell.
I can't really see.
I think that would be Megan's question would be a really interesting one to dive into in a blog, maybe, or
yeah, I really like that. I want to know a little bit more about it, like Bruce said, just a little more specifics about it.
Yeah, we should send her a quick note after this and see if we can get just a little more context, and then we will. We can put that into a blog. So if anybody else is still on, we're going to end the stream now. Thank you for joining, and we'll talk to you all soon.